and welcome to the Gallant Few Gallus Two podcast. Big night, Scotland against Germany, Dave. But we're not going to get into that an awful lot because we are Rangers, and we're a Rangers podcast, and we'll discuss a wee bit at the end. But we're a Rangers podcast, and we are going to talk still about all things Rangers. Dave, it seems to be the thing now that players are getting promised that it's just a matter of putting the scarf above their head, and then all of a sudden they've got a turnaround. Jose Cordoba, he was sort of a half announced. All the in the know people, so as we say in all the forums, they were all saying, "Oh, it's a done deal," and all the other. We've Heart and Hand came out and said it was a done deal, and Garcia was another one that was supposed to be a done deal, and then all of a sudden it's not a done deal. So that seems to be the latest trend, Dave, to agree to something and then to turn your back on it.
Well, it's going to be the way money talks, bullshit walks, Dave. So all these agents, will be quite hard-nosed about their negotiations. They'll play one person off another, one club off another. It's just it's what they do. They're out to maximise the return for their particular guy. So, and girls, I see we've got someone from Southampton today on a 2-year deal for the women's team. So it's inevitable. It's a business. It's a business. I know we have an emotional attachment to Rangers, and we get to turn our nose up at how vulgar they can be. Wanting to discuss money to play for Rangers when we would just do it because we love the club. It's not the same for everyone. So these guys have to be persuaded, dare I say, bribed to actually pull the jersey over their head, and we do it because we love Rangers. It's not the same, but it's money's involved, Dave. The market has no conscience.
Well, I said to Dave, I was talking to I think it was my cousin, and she says, "Well, it's his loss," and that's the way we should be thinking about it. There, I mean, playing for the Rangers, it's you can play for all these teams. I read today, Hellas, Bologna, and all these teams are after players that we're looking for, and yeah, I don't think it's the same as the famous Glasgow Rangers, Dave. Surely not.
Yeah, I did see that Connor Barn. There's a list of clubs chasing the boys. 2 from Italy, Hellas Verona, one of them, and I can't remember the other one. But amongst the British clubs were obviously Rangers, because we're hoping to do a deal. But Plymouth Argyle, what has the world come to when you get a choice between Rangers and Plymouth Argyle? I mean, it's almost so ridiculous. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. It's just nuts.
I mean, that was one of these teams, Dave, that used to go seeing that after the sport on a Saturday night about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you always get the results, and right away down was sort of a Plymouth Argyle 0 and some other team 0. I mean, that was the only way you'd ever heard of Plymouth Argyle. You'd never heard of them any other way.
It just shows you where we are in terms of the food chain and world football. That we're sinking steadily. I mean, I don't know what the solution is to arrest that, but clearly the monies that are involved, with the English clubs, is just something that we're going to have to live with. We're going to have to get creative. So, but hopefully we can. The name of Rangers and the tradition and the history is going to count for something. Surely to God. I mean, Plymouth Argyle. Good God. Whatever next.
Yeah. Well, ones that have come in, Dave, up till now is obviously Diamando. He came in last season in the winter. Yefty's come in. We've signed Cortez and a new obligation, as they call it. As I say, I don't know what an option is and what an obligation is. For who is the obligation for? Is it the obligation for us to buy him, or is it the obligation for them to sell him. I don't get that one. I mean, surely Rangers wouldn't take an obligation to buy him if he's hopeless.
Well, I think the first obligation is on Oscar to be a decent player. You know, the conversation won't go very far unless he actually turns in some decent performances. So there's no obligation if he turns out to be a donkey. However, you would say in the half a dozen games that we did see Oscar Cortes, he does look the part, I would have to say. I was
it looked very good. Looked very good, and I think he actually got a goal in one of the games at the end. That really good goal, if I remember right. Yeah, it's hard to remember. He played so little games, but he really looked good. Really looked exciting, and Diamande as well, Dave. I mean, I think I've seen a lot of people talking about him, but I think Diamande. I think he's going to be a cracking player.
Yep, I think he is. He's a step up, bit similar type player to Glenn Kamara, but I would say just a couple of notches up from Glenn Kamara. Yeah, very, very good player.
Yeah, we got a centre half in, Dave, from AC Milan, and his name is Clinton Nasiala. I think is how you would pronounce it. Not sure. I heard Colin sort of. We'll call him Big Clint. It's the only way we can remember his name. We'll call him Big Clint. So
Clint Hill too, we'll call him. Clint Hill too.
well, hopefully he'll be climbing the hill up the way to the stand to get the trophy, Dave, at the end of the season. But,
yeah, I mean, looks like a decent player. I mean, AC Milan apparently were keen to hold on to the boy, but he's elected to try his luck abroad, and so Rangers, I think, might potentially. He's obviously 20, so this is the exciting ones. That, you know, and guys like Connor Barn, you know, who have got development in them. You know, when you're buying guys 28, 29, you know, apart from the resale value not being all that we would hope it would be, or it could be, but there's the development potential in these players. So that's the thing that attracts me to players of that age group rather than, you talk about experience, but I think potential is something that we should be heading for. You know, we've signed 28, 29-year-olds, given them 3 and 4 year deals, and we've just seen what happens when Lundstrom comes to the end of his deal, just walks away. Having paid him top dollar for 4 years and get absolutely nothing in return. So because we did sign him on a free, but we paid him the wages that would have probably been the transfer fee, because he was in quite a tidy sum of money at Rangers, because we didn't have to pay a transfer fee. So I'm hoping that we really need to get a lot more business-like in terms of bringing young players in, developing them, move them on, bring in the next batch. That's where Rangers are. That's what we need to get good at.
Are we going to be playing a team of 20-year-olds, Dave? 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds? Is that going to be given, or do you think there will be some older players come in?
I think there will be room for some more experienced players, Dave, but I think the average wage of our squad and the squad will be weighted towards lower, the 20 to 25 guys who we will be looking to move on at a profit and bring in the next lot. So, and that whole thing rotates, because the top heavy squad, when everyone's 28, 29, 30, I think that's gone. I think Philip Clement, I mean, in the discussions he'll have had with the board, we will be keen to progress that sort of model. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. It might take 2, 3, 4 transfer windows before we get the squad to the age profile that would be ideal to start turning over some players. We should be flipping players at least 2 or 3 a season for 5 million plus. I mean, that would be doing it well. Either we're doing, one player for 10 million quid, but we should also be looking to get a return on some of the academy players who come through, who will have decent careers, and hopefully Rangers can get, a return on. I'm thinking about players £1.5 million who we could sell on to, the Championship down south or other Scottish clubs, because I think far too often when they leave our academy and don't make the first team squad, they just leave for free. I think Rangers should be looking to recoup some of the money that we've invested in these players to get them to that stage. They're signing professional contracts with other club. I don't think it's unreasonable that a transfer fee should be included.
Well, you do get compensation, don't you? I mean, that's what we're doing to Aberdeen if this gets through. That we buy Connor. I've forgotten his name. Connor Barron. Yeah. If we do get him, then that's what we're going to be doing to Aberdeen. All they're going to be getting is a compensation fee, which will. I seen a paper right today that it would be about 6 ton. I don't even know whether it'll be that, Dave. Aberdeen to Rangers, 6 ton.
I'm sure that there will be some sort of formula that will be used to calculate this. I'm sure it's not done strictly speaking in some sort of poker game. Where I'll offer $500,000 and we'll give you 300,000. I think there is some sort of formula to be applied to it. I'm not sure how strictly the rules are applied and what that means and how they will eventually arrive at a number. But I think they will be compensated for that development. But I think Rangers could be, from players leaving our academy, we should be able to attract, whatever the development fee is plus, because they would be at a level where they will make a significant contribution to the club that they'll be moving to. So I'm hoping that the fee that we would change hands would reflect that.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not. It's Aberdeen, Dave, so let's hope we're not giving them too much money. I've seen that on the Aberdeen website. Didn't look at it myself, but somebody posted it up somewhere that they weren't taking very good. It was going to be signing for Rangers. What's your opinion of him, Dave? Is he a player that you think we should be going after, or I know the boys talked about it in the podcast last night. It's good to get another look on it from your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, when we've played Aberdeen, he would say that. I don't think he's been a first team pick every week, but certainly in the occasions that I've saw him, you can certainly see that there is potential there, and that's pretty much and he's a decent player, with the amount of football that he's played for Aberdeen in the Premiership, you can see the guy's clearly got some talent, as a footballer. But I'm also thinking that he's got further development in that, with a coaching, playing with better players, that we could further improve Connor Barron as a player, and in due course, as we spoke about, be flipping that into several £1 million, which that in due course we would reinvest in our squad, and hopefully things becomes a virtuous cycle where you're buying low and selling high, and that's essentially what we would be trying to do to just generally improve the overall quality of your squad. And Connor Barron certainly represents the type of player who we would be hoping to acquire to move that on, to get to
I definitely think it would be good to have a Scottish. It would be good if Scottish players were good enough. Let's put it that way first. But then again, if you were reading the forums about Ferguson, nobody wanted him to get. Well, I won't say nobody, but very few wanted him to come to Rangers. They all said he wasn't good enough, and I think that's the thing. I think there is a snobbery about young players that we have got, and let's face it, a lot of them don't. And I think it's hard to be. It's just now that Scottish teams are really starting to play a bit of football, Dave. I mean, I was watching I think it was Wraith Rovers against Dunfermline at the end of the season. They're in the playoffs or just before the playoffs, and the midfield was absolutely non-existent. They were just the midfielders were just standing watching the ball. Wee, and there was hardly any midfield. It was just the punts up the park. And that's the way sort of a Scottish football was for years as well. But thankfully now, and probably because a lot of foreigners are coming in as well, Dave, that we're actually now getting to start playing football.
Yeah, I think it's important that we improve the quality all over, and best practices should be employed, because I think that the hammer thrower type mentality, the kick and rush stuff. I mean, quite apart from it's dreadful to watch, you want to see something that's a bit more skillful than that, just a blood and thunder and big heeling bloody boys battering you. It's thoroughly depressing, sometimes when the 19 home games at Ibrox sometimes can be a bit of a test, an endurance test, when you turn up and teams will put, everyone behind the ball, and hopefully, they can do it out for 60 minutes and wait for the crowd to get Rangers back, and then maybe try and sneak one. So it's a well-known formula for some of the teams who come to Ibrox, and you've got to give teams like Motherwell, and I would even include Hibs in that, when they come to Ibrox and they tend to try and play a bit more football and get up the park and make a contest of it. Whereas some of the other clubs, I'm thinking Livingston, Ross County, you just turn up and it's one-way traffic for the duration, and it's hoping against hope that they can hold Rangers out. And then as soon as the first goal comes in, I'm sure that the last time Ross County played at Ibrox, even when the first goal went in, it was just a question of just trying to keep it respectable. They didn't show any ambition even then. So, of course,
last time they beat us, Dave. It's 2-1.
The irony of all this is they beat us 4-3, in their own pitch, which is utterly betrays the performance that they gave at Ibrox when they had no intention of crossing the halfway line. So, we need to do more, Dave. In terms of, I think we need to be big boys and girls. When you mentioned Aberdeen, the fans aren't happy about Connor Barron. Really, is that the level of it? And you're talking about Lewis Ferguson and the Rangers fans not want. It's not up to the Rangers fans. No, we should never ever mistake this for democracy. Let the professionals manage the club. We don't have a vote, hands up everyone who wants to side, bloody Lewis Ferguson, and then off we go to offer a, I don't know what we would have offered, 500,000 to Hamilton Accies to get him. That's just bonkers. We should have professional, football scouts who will go and have a look at players. If they think he's good enough, we should sign him. We don't take a vote as to who we should sign. That the Rangers, coaching staff should be professional in everything that they do. So when we come on social media and guys say, "No, I don't really like him," I never liked his dad, I don't like it. It's not your decision, mate. Sorry, I love you lots, and you're one of the people and all that, and we love you. But we don't get a vote in who Rangers sign. The guys and the management team decide who Rangers signs. So, and sometimes there'll be people who I wish we hadn't signed him. Who gives a shit what you think? Yeah, it's the proof of the pudding is very much in the eating, and it's what those players do on the pitch that counts. So I don't think we should be having, if you want to sign Lewis Ferguson, press your buzzer now.
And then the ones that are crap, Dave, if a player doesn't work out well, I won't say he's crap, because if they get to that level, they're not crap, let's face it. But then they always say, I knew it, I said at the time he was rubbish.
Of course, then becomes they've got 20/20 hindsight, and they say, no, I posted that 3 months ago that he was rubbish. You're very.
Anyway,
I don't know why you.
Moving on, there's a thing here about Connor Barron, and it's sort of liking him to John Lundstrom, and I'll say dribbled past per game. Connor Barron had 0.8 and Lundstrom had 1.0, so Lundstrom won that one. Duels won per game 3.7. Lundstrom had 3.9. Ground duel success rate, Barron had 53%. Lundstrom only had 49%. And aerial duels, Barron had 68%, Dave, and John Lundstrom had 55%. So it's in the air. It looks like that he looks to be a lot better than Lundstrom in the air. I don't really know if it's fair. I don't think Barron's exactly the same type of player as Lundstrom, Dave. I think he's more advanced than Lundstrom. Am I right in
that? Well, I think they'll be they'll play wherever you want them. Wherever Philip Clement wants them to play is where they'll play. So, but we wouldn't have to be paying, Connor Barron almost 40 grand a week for those sort of stats, which is what we were paying John Lundstrom. So you're thinking, and you would have thought if we give Connor Barron a 3 or 4 year deal, he'll have a resale value at the end of it. So I think it's just about getting better value from the squad, from the players who we have in our squad and what they look like, what they represent. So I think we just need to. I think we've wasted, in terms of transfer fees. Sam Lammers, we've got Cyril Dessers. I mean, are we getting the best value? We need to be so much smarter and spending our money so much more wisely than we have at the last summer's transfer window was a fucking disaster. There's just no two ways about it. So we can't make that mistake this year. So I'm hoping that Big Phil and the Rangers coaching staff will do a lot better than Michael Beale did last summer, because that was just a clusterfuck.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Dessers, I don't know whether he was a total failure. Obviously, Lammers was a total failure for us. Dessers, there's something you can say that he's sort of done his best, and he works hard. And I mean, a lot of times he's up against two big, tall centre half, sorry, and he just doesn't get a chance. He gets sort of plummeted out the game. And there is, I mean, we're going to move on to another subject later, Dave, but there is a thing to say as well. If you look, see the amount of times his shirt's been pulled in the box. In fact, I'll move on to it. Then, and you've even seen it in VAR, that he's getting pulled back. And VAR, the referee sort of lets it go. VAR look at it, and then they say, no, it's obviously not enough. I mean, if they're pulling your shirt, surely what's enough and what's not enough? And that's the thing. Obviously, I'll get the guy's name in a second. Mike Mulroney from Iowa. There you go, Dave, the Bowling Green type chairman. He worked his way into the SFA. We know who he's pals with, don't we? So he's come out today and say I think it was yesterday. He said the VAR is here to stay because of England had a meeting last week. We'll set something in motion that they wanted rid of VAR. Now we've got it up here, Dave. It's first year, obviously, but he says no, it's here to stay. The Scottish team and the big clubs in Scotland that play in Europe would be at too much of advantage or disadvantage if we didn't have it. Now, I can go on, Dave, and is VAR honest? Do you think VAR is honest, or do you think that it suits one club? That's a big discussion amongst Rangers supporters. Is it? I mean, I'm going to put 2 points to it. If you look at all the decisions Rangers have had for goals, Roof's goal, there was another one against Celtic. There was another one. I think there's been 3 or 4 goals that we've had chalked off when the referee committee that sort of looks into VAR said no, they were wrong decisions. We've had a few big decisions. Connor Goldson getting his shirt pulled. I'm thinking at the beginning, quite early in the season. We've had quite a few penalties from VAR given them. Are we just being sort of and saying that VAR is working against us, or is it working against us?
I think it's probably in terms of penalty kicks, it's probably worked for us, because I think Rangers have only had something like 4 penalty kicks given, by the referee. The rest of the penalty kicks this season have been awarded after VAR has intervened, and the referee has then reconsidered his initial decision not to give a penalty, and we then get a penalty. The decision, Dave, the thing that VAR is changing the game, there's no doubt about that, because the decision by the referee in Rangers versus St Johnstone when we were up at Perth not to give a penalty when Dujon Sterling got brought down was just utterly disgraceful, because the referee not seeing a penalty in that instance, he's probably relying on VAR to make the decisions for him. So the football authorities claim that VAR is not there to referee the game, but in certain instances it is refereeing the game, and it's the referees who are to blame, because if that decision is not given by the referee on the pitch, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, what is going through the referee's mind there when he decides that's not a penalty, knowing that if VAR have a look at it, they'll intervene. Because is that because it's Rangers? Then if that's the case, then we do have a problem with VAR. If the decisions that are made are made in light of whether it's for Rangers or against Rangers, or Rangers are involved in the match, and it becomes one set of conditions, and then when Rangers are not involved in the match, there's another set of conditions, that has to be hammered. That absolutely someone has to come down on that. And I would have come down on that decision at Perth when Dujon Sterling was clearly brought down, and that the referee on the night did not give a penalty kick, when everyone in the stadium, everyone watching it on TV, knew that was a penalty. And then when VAR intervenes, he goes and has a look at it, and he's then had the nod. Okay, I've now, I'm in safer ground. So he didn't have the courage to give the penalty straight away, but he's then quite comfortable to look at the replay and then give a penalty. It's absolutely shocking. So there is a problem with VAR, Dave, but in that the referees, I think, sometimes hide behind it, and you can see from the number of goals which we actually score against that lot turn out not to be goals, and you're thinking that it just seems that their instinct in making decisions has been lost. They then get to think, hold on a minute, this is controversial. Rangers have just scored against that lot. Do I really want to go there? And I think sometimes they're persuaded that there's fouls. The one which when Dessers nicked the ball off him, and we went through, and I think it was Roof that eventually battered it into the net. That was a goal all day long, Dave. The goal all day long, and how they would then go back and say that Dessers had fouled him, when I think it was actually the Celtic player kicked Dessers. That was a shocking decision, but I think they reflect on that being a controversial moment, and then it's a goal for Rangers against Celtic. Can I go the hassle? And I think there's just a wee danger that they, given the opportunity to think about it and change their mind, they take it, which is simply not on.
Well, you also had the one, Dave, at the end of the season there, where we never get the penalty when the keeper and Raskin was supposedly pushed, but then they don't go back and look at what happened before the Raskin was getting pulled about by Taylor. If they're doing fair honestly, they should have went back and they should have looked at the penalty decision, and then it should have been a penalty. In my eyes, I heard some commentator saying that it depended when the corner kick was taken. He says if the corner kick wasn't taken at that moment that Taylor was pulling him, then it wouldn't have been a penalty. Does that sound right to you, Dave?
That sounds like a load of shite, because the ball doesn't have to be in play for an offence to be committed. That's just fucking pish.
Yeah, well,
the worst decision of the day. The worst decision of the day for me, because I think with the penalty, with the goal, with the what did he push or not? We're talking shades of grey. The one which Dujon Sterling went in to tackle, won the ball, come away with the ball. not only was that not even a free kick, but Dujon Sterling was booked for that challenge. And I think any referee who's looking at that and sees a foul is there's some sort of perspective on this game that I don't share. So how he arrived at that decision is just simply beyond me. Simply beyond me. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. But that's what they're capable of. That's what they're capable of. They know that it's it's that lot against us. If this decisions that go for Rangers have to be pretty much cast iron, and the Dujon Sterling booking was just utterly bonkers. And then in all of this, the sheer absurdity of the laws of the game is that I know we can't go back and have a look at a booking. No, we're not allowed to do that, but we're allowed to chalk off any Rangers goal, but we can't go back and correct those decisions. I think the referees should need to be called to account a wee bit more than they do at the moment, because and they should be, when a review of their performance should be publicised, and they should be made to justify some of the decisions that they made when they're clearly wrong. And I'm thinking, the penalty at Perth and Dujon Sterling's booking in the Scottish Cup final.
Mr. Mulroney said, Dave, we searched the world, Americas, Australia, Europe. We searched the world for a good candidate to be the head of the referees committee. And the only one we could get was the man for the job was Mr. Collum. Does that he thinks that he will be sort out any of the problems? Does that bring a lot of confidence into you, Dave, that VAR will get better for Rangers?
Dave, I think he was misquoted, because I don't think he searched the world. I think he searched the bowling clubs to find the top man for the job. He didn't search the world. It's probably Central Scotland's bowling clubs is what he searched to find the man who should be in charge of Scotland's referees, because that's the mentality that they have. So, Mulroney, please. I mean, you could take that with a pinch of salt, anything that he tells you, because we all know who he's batting for. So that's, I mean, it's very, very thinly disguised, Dave, if disguised at all.
No, well, that's the thing. I don't even think they try to disguise it anymore, Dave. It's just the done thing. But I'm afraid I don't. If Willie Collum sorts out try to sort out the referee the way it's run, with the way he refereed, then I'm afraid I've not got very high hopes that it's going to turn into anything good, whether it's for Rangers or anybody else. But,
Dave, we should call them out on it. So we should call out, just tell us the country of origin of each of the people who made the shortlist for interview. Just tell us, did we have a Brazilian? Did we have someone from Australia? Did we have someone from India? Maybe South Africa? No. We managed to get Willie Collum, from St. Kent's School in West Lothian. We managed to spring him. Look at the job that we are doing. Look how good a job we are doing. We managed to get Willie Collum. Wow.
I don't think they were getting any further than the Dolphin Bar in Partick, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, Dave, the only thing he said, VAR has got to be quicker and make decisions. Well, I think that's the thing. Do you think we will ever get a time where we actually go the rugby way and see things? I mean, it must be horrible. I'm watching it on television, and you do get to know what is actually happening. But if you're standing there, you're paying good money, paying more than me for a season ticket. You're paying more than I've got a season ticket for obviously for RTV, but you're paying really good money. I'm getting to see what is actually happening with VAR. But if you're standing there, you've totally no idea of what's going on. Should it be go the rugby way, and that you can actually on the big screen see what's happening?
Yeah, I'm sure, Dave. I think there will be refinements for VAR. I'm sure that. Yeah, 840 quid for the club deck next season. So, and for that, they pretty much keep you in the dark for 10 minutes, you know, and you're sitting there guessing, speculating, what do you think he's going to do? So to be honest, I mean, I would, I'm more interested in getting the right decision than getting a decision quickly. So if they take a few minutes, to get the right decision, I'm quite happy with that. It doesn't bother me that, it takes should it, more than a few minutes. If we could do it quicker, so much the better. But that shouldn't mean a drop in quality. I think it's just about maybe investing a bit more money, but we don't have any money, so more cameras at the ground, which is why the English Premiership, they've got access to so many pictures of these incidents that they can quite quickly clear it up. And with a few people in the room, they'll have multiple screens. I don't know what our screens are probably still in black and white, and in the wee VAR van, and it's a wee antenna, black and white images will be coming through. Yes, so we could do better if we had more money, but I think just the sheer experience is going to be helpful. But we need to call out the people who are continually making an arse of it, and if that's if they're making an arse of it, it's deliberate. I mean, I think some referees, as we said, I think some referees are now using it as a wee safety net for not to make big decisions when they think, I'm sort of sure it's up, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'll just have the VAR guy keep me right. And that they sold it to us on the basis that VAR would not referee the game. But I think some referees use it as someone who will assist them in refereeing the game. And all it should be doing is checking the decisions, that the clear and obvious error has not occurred in a decision that the referee has made. So it's up to the referee to make the decisions. VAR will be there just to check.
Would it be an option, Dave, to let VAR referee the game? Cut out the referee?
Well, then, Dave, there would be every time that the ball went out of play, every decision would be the flow of the game would be broken up with so many times for them to review pictures. So, because if they're not going to review the images, then there's no reason for VAR to check it. They could just have someone on the pitch making the decisions rather than someone sitting at a TV screen making the decisions in real time. Because if you don't do that and all the VAR decisions, go to a review of the images, I mean, the game will last for 4 hours.
Okay, well, I'll leave VAR at that, Dave. There's just a couple of more things I want to talk about, and another big talking point was Kenny McLean. What is your opinion on Kenny McLean, Dave? Jude, I don't know whether it's I've heard it rumoured, but I haven't really seen anything sort of a concrete that we're after him. But there's been this big discussions everywhere on Kenny McLean. Is he a player that you would want to see brought in?
Well, we're not going to have a big discussion about McLean because the answer is no. That's exactly what we're trying to get away from. So, guys who are coming to the tail end of their career, offering them a 3 or 4 year deal, they'll be on decent money down south. So we're going to have to kind of match it in some way, bringing them to Rangers. There'll be no resale value at the end of the year. Problems with injuries. I mean, he ticks all the boxes as to why we shouldn't sign him. So I just don't get what is the case to sign Kenny McLean. What is it? What does he bring that we couldn't get for half that cost, and for a player who's 10 years younger?
Yeah, but I'm afraid I'm not. I mean, my thinking of is that we get rid of John Lundstrom because he was slowing the game down and yeah, not really. He'd lost his speed, and we're going to bring in another third. And I think McLean's even older than Lundstrom.
John Lundstrom 2.0. I mean, it just does not stack up for me at all. Why we would want to, because the money he'll be on at Norwich will be a decent salary. He'll be looking for Rangers to come something very close to that. And you're thinking, is that the best value that we could get for our buck? I think the answer's no. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I must admit, I was quite looking forward to the boy Garcia coming in. Unfortunately, he's done a U-turn as well, and he seemingly agreed to sign a new contract with Penarol, which I think is unfortunate because he looked really good on his YouTube. Yeah, YouTube film. There we go again. Even Sable looked good in a YouTube film. Well thought he was going to be a great player. And the other thing I've got, Dave, is that Jack Butland, rumours are that he really wants to stay, and the Rangers board have made a sort of a mandate that you've got to sell James Tavernier to keep him, which I don't really believe, but that was one of the stories I read in the papers this week. Rangers have got to sell Tavernier to get the money to keep Butland. Sounds more like a Celtic reporter to me.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Rangers, the board will have sat down with the coaching staff, and they'll have gone through, the options of where we are, how much money's available, and the coaching staff will then say, well, if we were to cash in Jack Butland, would we see any of that money to add to our transfer kitty? So I think it's basically as simple as that for me, is that they want to get the best value, we can for the task at hand. So we've got 38 league matches that we need to get through. How many of those league matches will Jack Butland be the difference maker? 5, 6 games. So will European ties, Jack Butland, he'll far bigger influence, European ties, difference maker, 50% of the games. So could we sell Jack Butland, cash in, and buy 2 other players who would be the difference maker in 12 league games, 18 league games? So I would be hoping that they would be employing, something along those lines to see would selling Jack Butland make us a better team overall? If the answer's yes, sell him. If the answer's no, then don't sell him. So and that would be for any player at Rangers, anyone at all. Are we getting the best value for money with the money that we have available? We don't have huge sums of money, so we have to make it count. So it's no use having a shit team and a fantastic goalkeeper, because are we going to win the league? That is the acid test. I'm sick and tired of hearing, that Rangers don't accept second best. You can't be second in Glasgow. We've been second for over a decade now, bar 1 year, and it's not good enough. So whatever they need to do, we will slay any sacrificial lamb that we need to make sure that Rangers get back in top and win that fucking league. So, and I don't want any excuses, and I don't want, but nothing. So we move mountains, we do what we have to do to get that team to win the league. That's where Rangers need to be. So everything else is secondary to that, Jack Butland included.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. If he can bring up that money, I mean, at one time I was hearing things of 20 million. I mean, 20 million is a no-brainer. The only thing is, then you need a goalkeeper. Is McCrory good enough? I very much doubt. From what I've seen, I don't think so. So I think we would need to bring in a goalkeeper. And in fact, I would actually say, if we're seriously thinking about Connor Barron, then maybe probably the money that Aberdeen would want for the committee that sort of decide what the fee is going to be. So if the fee was roughly the same as what Rangers thought McCrory was worth, then it might be sort of a swap deal type thing. I know that McCrory, the Barron's on a free, but that compensation money would probably cover the McCrory fee.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's it's a number of ways of skinning that cat, Dave, and that's exactly the calculations that the club have to go through. You know, with the management, with the coaching staff. Here's where the money that's available. Here's what the options available. You know, how do we best spend this? How do we best use our resource? In that sense, it's the same as any business. You know, how do we make the biggest bang for our buck? And that's what Rangers need to do. So, and they go through the team. You know, we can afford this guy. So if we were selling a £10 million goalkeeper, buy a £5 million goalkeeper, we've added £5 million to the kitty to strengthen our midfield, our defence, or our forward line. So, and that's the calculations that have to be gone through to make sure that we've got the best team that we can possibly put in the pitch. And we strengthen where we need to. And if we take a step back in other areas, and that's less important, then that's what we ought to do. So having a world-class goalkeeper with a shit team doesn't really do much for him, doesn't really do much for our team. You know, we're still a shit team with a world-class goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Dave, I'm conscious of the time, and I know we're obviously recording this before the Scotland game, and I think I know a lot of Rangers supporters won't watch Scotland, but I'm afraid I am not one of them. I am going down to watch it. Is there anything you want to get off your chest?
Well, I'm going to. Oh, well, I'll also be watching the game, Dave. But I mean, I wouldn't say I've been to the World Cup. You know, went to watch Scotland, so that shows you kind of how far on I am. So, but Italia '90, I was there, but I'll be watching the game, and you know, Germany, Scotland. Do I want Scotland to win? I would rather see Scotland win than Germany win. You know, I'll not be supporting Germany, but I think my attitude to the national team at the moment would probably be best described as indifference. It's Rangers 100% for me. Scotland, the game's on the telly. You know, I've not watched a game in a few weeks, so I'm now just going to take myself off to watch that and hopefully enjoy it. I'm looking forward to all the games, you know, and just see how the tournament unfolds. And you know, you'll see teams who will do better than expected. You'll see teams who will hit the buffers. You know, careers will be made, and careers will be shattered in the course of the next few weeks. So there's someone out there who we have never heard of before, whose name will be on the tip of our tongue forevermore, you know, after this tournament. So, and that's the beauty of these tournaments for me. It's just they can spring up some surprises, and the whole thing sometimes is unpredictable. But I think that's what makes football such a powerful draw, and why we love the Rangers going off to see them. And you know, and the problem with the Rangers fans, I think, is that we expect to win most of the time, don't we? We're going over there just to make sure Rangers win. I think maybe we should take a wee step back and enjoy it a wee bit more, because sometimes you get the feeling that the crowd at Ibrox don't really enjoy the game only until Rangers are 3-0 up, and then are quite happy to go home. And so it's a kind of strange relationship we have with our team. But I guess that's what comes with being a club which have been so successful and are so successful. But there's a danger that I think we may be losing sight of that. We need to get back to it. So we'll be relying on Big Phil to get us back to number one, and get a few signing in the transfer window. And when they turn up, we'll be chatting, and we'll bring it to the Gallant Few audience.
I think Dave, if you take the 70s and 80s, I think the Rangers supporters have changed an awful lot, though. I think it's a different kind of crowd. Maybe it's sitting that's caused that. See the likes of when Hibs come onto the park, and it was at the Scottish Cup final, and see if they'd done that in the 70s. The park, there would be battles in the middle of the park. There would be, and I think Rangers. And then the other game that I was thinking about is Motherwell. When Motherwell supporters come onto the park and they were sort of and in the 70s, they would never even have dreamed of doing that, Dave. They would have been murdered if they tried to do that.
Well, Dave, I was at the Scottish Cup tie at Fir Park at Motherwell in the 70s when the Rangers fans did end up on the pitch. Motherwell went 2-0 up, and the Rangers fans ended up on the pitch. And you're right. I mean, it's a different. I mean, the game at Hampden, I think that the Hibs fans wouldn't have gone on the pitch during the 1970s because they would pretty much know what the reaction would have been. So, and we didn't get the same reaction that we would have got in previous decades. Yeah, I mean, it's
so I think the Scottish Cup final in 1980, Dave, that's sort of a highlights it, doesn't it? I mean, the Celtic supporters come onto the park, the Rangers supporters met them in a halfway line.
Yeah. Well, I know you were at the game as I was at the 1980 Scottish Cup final, and certainly, I mean, what happened on the pitch was a fraction of what happened outside the ground, because outside the ground was quite an eventful afternoon. Let's say it that way. It was that was I think Plod. I think one of the few instances I can say in that game where Plod completely lost the plot. They lost complete control of the whole situation inside and outside the stadium. That was it was a bit nuts that day. Took us about 2 hours to get back to the city centre because we just kept getting. We ended up having to go along through Queen's Park and along Victoria Road to get home. We had to take some detours because the whole Cathcart Road was something of a war zone. But we could have a whole pod on that game itself.
Yeah, definitely could. Anyway, Dave, I'm going to finish up. We'll go down and get our beer glasses warmed up and get ready for the game. Thanks for coming on, Dave. And it's been great having you. And I will. Oops, I am trying to set up the finish. We will see you the next time I'm on next Friday, Dave. Hopefully we're ready for that. Hopefully we can dig up some stuff to talk to. And I will see you then, Dave. Bye for now.